Did you ever experience the fact that you try to help other people only to find you end up messing things up? Or you've done something you thought it was great, but you didn't receive any recognitions or appreciation? If the answer is yes, the next question is, will that stop you from doing that again? Let me beg you, please. Please don't let it happen, because just keep up the good work. Good deeds never fade away. Toastmaster of the day, ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
Nearly 28 years ago, shortly after I was discharged from my military service in the army, I noticed something was not right with my second elder brother. He was no more seeing the lady he met through a matchmaker. I remember they went out on a date just once, so I asked him, why? Why don't you take her out? He simply said, I'm too busy. So I asked him again, do you still like her? The answer was positive. So I said, I'll help you. Let me try my best to give my helping hand by paying a special visit to this lady in person. I have to tell you that my brother and I are totally different personalities. He's kind of shy, quiet, and conservative. And me, you all should know why I am like, right?
Yeah.
As you can imagine, how shocked I was upon hearing my crazy and spooky idea. After looking up the internet, I found this lady's address. I set out to her home on a motorcycle. I knocked 3 times at the door, and there came a lady answering the door. As I explained the purpose of visiting, she was almost as shocked as my brother. My instinct told me that this is exactly the lady, even though I never met her before. In great joyfulness, I came home with such an encouraging message that I could hardly share it with my brother. At first, however, my brother didn't dare to make the phone call. He hesitated and hesitated. And finally, after lengthy hesitation, he made the phone call, and that, I believe, was one of the most crucial calls he has ever made in his whole life. And of course, as the fairy tale goes, the princess and the Prince Charming lived happily ever after. Within 1.5 years, their first baby girl was born. So my sister-in-law moved to my parents' home for 1 month of so-called postnatal care. Everybody does that, right? And something happened. My sister-in-law called me one day, and I believe that was the most significant event in my life. She called me one day and gave me a phone number. She asked from a lady whom she thought I might be interested in, and she was completely right. Because I was so excited about this message, about this lady. Unlike my brother, I made the phone call right away, without a second thought. And we made our first date that weekend. A blind date. I still remember, it was a beautiful, cool and cloudy day in late November. I drove a Honda Civic I borrowed from my second brother. I arrived at my destination in Sinju 15 minutes ahead of time. I stood across from where she worked with a bouquet of red roses in one hand and a newspaper in another. And after a while, out from behind the door, across the street, out came a lady with a light gray middle-length dress and a brown hat with a white ribbon around it. Oh, my holy Lord! She's got to be the lady I'm dating with. I prayed with my eyes, because I didn't dare to lose sight of her. And then she raised her head a little bit and browsed from right to left across the street. And when my eyes contacted with hers, oh, how how I wish I had had a camera so I could capture this lifetime unforgettable moment. And then she walked towards me across the street, wearing a light shell smile. I didn't know how exactly she thought of me, but my heart at that moment was captured, completely, totally captured at the first sight of her. 1 year later, I took this lady, Rachel, as my wife. Lucky me, good for me, but too bad. That's too bad for the gentleman who knew her before me. I knew that. She told me after our marriage. I really am sorry, buddy. And 2 weeks ago, on my way home, I was driving on the road. I heard a short story from the radio. I remember it was a Mandarin speech contest, only for foreign students like Maria in Taiwan. The speaker told her own story in not so fluent Mandarin, but with a very strong African accent. She said, "In my country, if you leave your bag in the bus, that means you're going to lose it forever. However, when I practically did the same thing in Taipei, not long after I got here, I got it back, for heaven's sake, because I got a phone call from the bus driver." How impressive, how incredible. This lady felt wholeheartedly grateful for our society with such a high level of morality. Now, as you can imagine, as you can see, not all kinds of good deeds get answered the same way as my personal romantic story. Instead, they are answered in different ways. So, the next time, when there is a chance for you, ladies and gentlemen, to practice good deeds, please don't hesitate. Never hesitate like my brother, okay? Just do it. Because that's how we create, that's how we build up our honorable and respectable society. And once again, remember, good deeds never fade away. They simply answer in different ways. Toastmaster.